So should we bring our next panel on?
Are we excited? Are we ready?
Can we welcome the incredible panel host, because this is like a fangirl moment for me. She's one of my favourite people. I love her. So let's welcome the amazing Anna Morrison to the stage. Massive round of applause, everybody. Of course. Should we bring Anna's panel on?
Yeah.
So, joining Anna on stage today, we've got Romario Ellis from OuterCircle. We've got
Irsa Hussain from Vialto Partners.
Philip Hocking from Lloyds Banking Group.
And Bethany Taylor from Eversheds Sutherland.
Give them a massive round of applause, guys.
Right. Guys, I'm going to stop you there. That was weak. Right. 3, 2, 1. Can we give the apprentice a round of applause?
Much better.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And what an incredible welcome and what an amazing panel we have for you this afternoon. There will be no post-lunch slump today, I'm afraid, because the stories that you are going to hear from our panel and the energy they are going to bring will wake us up for sure. As you've heard, my name is Anna Morrison. I'm the founder of an organisation called Amazing Apprenticeships. And when I founded Amazing Apprenticeships 10 years ago, so I can't believe it, for those of you in the room who have been with us on that journey, can you believe? Yeah, 10 years. We wanted to really find ways to get into schools to talk about apprenticeships in a different way. And one core theme of this has been storytelling and making sure that apprentice stories are at the heart of everything that we do. And it's been really exciting, I think, over the last decade to watch the sector evolve in this space. And we see so many brilliant examples and many different and very creative ways that our apprentices are able to share their stories to inspire others, whether it's students in schools, whether it's parents and carers, whether it's other employers, whether it's their past teachers, who often take credit for the advice and wisdom that they gave you, whether that happened or not. But, there are so many people out there that we can touch in different ways. And we have 4 amazing storytellers with us today who have all actually completed their apprenticeships, but that gives them an incredible perspective as well on what they're going to share. So let's hear from our panel. So we're going to start off by just hearing from Bethany. So Bethany, over to you.
Afternoon. Are we in the afternoon now? Afternoon, everybody. My name is Beth Taylor and I am an associate in the Real Estate Litigation Department at Eversheds Sutherland. I have been qualified now for about 18 months, having completed the solicitor apprenticeship, which is a 6-year programme that I started straight out of 6th form. So I've been with my company now for 7.5 years. And I have loved every moment of it. And one of my biggest passions is promoting solicitor apprenticeships for people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. So I'm really, excited to share my story here today.
Thank you, Bethany. Round of applause for Bethany, please. Thank you.
Perfect. Hi everyone, hope everyone's doing well. And I think it is that going to be a little bit of an afternoon slump from the lunch as well. Fingers crossed not. Just to introduce myself, I'm the founder of OuterCircle, an organisation that supports over 5,000 young people into the world of apprenticeships, taking them on that step-by-step journey of navigating that often complex process. Where we also have a commercial wing that supports businesses for the smaller businesses, create apprenticeship programs, and also for the larger, enhance their programs and maximize the value of it, for the value impact that it can create, not just for the business, but for that person going into that program. I myself was an apprentice, so I've lived that journey similar to everyone else here, but different to probably everyone else here. I didn't complete my apprenticeship program. Last year, I was made redundant from my apprenticeship, so you can say I've seen the highs and the lows of what apprenticeships bring, but still very much passionate about promoting apprenticeships. Obviously, I now work in it much more than I did in the past. And, we're really here to promote how apprenticeships can really be amazing opportunities for businesses, but the holistic and nuance behind creating programs that are built for the apprentice and their experience should really be tailored towards. So that's a bit about myself and really excited to kickstart the session.
Thank you. Round of applause, please. Thank you. Okay, Irsa.
Hi everyone, my name is Irsa. So I my apprentice journey is a little bit different too. So I started an apprenticeship when I was 18, and I did a level 4 apprenticeship at PwC. And then something really minor happened, which was the pandemic. And we were sent into a global lockdown. And my company actually, we went private and we formed a smaller company. And with that, what happened was the diversity went down. And it's something that really affected me, and something that I'm really passionate about now is diversity in the workplace, which is something that I speak about a lot. And in doing that, I try to make it my goal at work to never let someone feel othered. And that's why I founded the Ramadan Challenge at my current workplace, and that's something that I'm really proud of.
Thank you. Round of applause. Thank you. We're going to come back to the Ramadan Challenge. We want to know more about that. Phil.
Hi everyone, my name is Phil and thanks for having me here. It's really good to be sitting on a panel full of people who are motivated to do the extra step, and that's definitely the story that represents my time at Lloyds so far. I work at Lloyds as a senior analyst in transport. Only been here for 2.5 years, and how I got in was through a data analyst apprenticeship opportunity, one of the level 4s, which gave me a great opportunity to connect with data on the transport side of things at a place like Lloyds. But what really fills me with passion is what we can do as an apprentice through our colleague network, so engagement, so trying to find situations where things don't quite feel right and creating the opportunity for people to speak their truth so that they can start to live a little bit more authentically in the workplace. And so it's a great honour to have been named a REACH role model, both for this year at Lloyds and for last year as well, which is the Race, Ethnic, Minority and Cultural Heritage Network. And thank you. And I work at a special company that actually gives you a little bit of a push. If you're interested in something, we push you towards it. So I'm also the lead for one of our colleague networks in the Midlands. So absolutely love to be sitting here and to potentially be inspired by all of your stories.
Amazing. Thank you, Phil. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to start with Bethany. So Bethany, what was your driver to want to start to share your apprenticeship story?
Yeah, thank you. So like I say, I've been at my company now for 7.5 years, and I really only started to share my story probably about 18 months ago, coinciding with when I qualified. And I think there was probably a reason for that. So I grew up in foster care, and I spent a lot of my life being put in a box, having ceilings placed for me, telling me I will never amount to anything, that a career in something like law or being a solicitor would never ever be attainable for somebody like me. That was reflected in the sets that I were put in at school. Everyone saw my file and they thought, oh, she's someone in care from Dewsbury, she's not going to be smart. So I've constantly sort of had these challenges put in front of me and limits put to what other people thought that I could achieve. And I don't know what it was inside of me, but there was always something inside of me that wanted to prove everybody wrong. Maybe it's a bit of my stubbornness, which is probably why I'm a litigator now. And so I really wanted to share my story because I wanted to hopefully, even if one person, one individual that might have grown up in a care experienced environment, whether that's 6 months of their life or whether that's 18 years of their life, it will have had an impact on them in some way. And I'm sure that they will have had some form of obstacle that they will have had to come over and, overcome. And so I thought, even if I can spend one day a week, one day a month, just sharing my story and how I've managed to overcome the limitations that other people placed on me, and that correlates to one person going on and overcoming the obstacles that they're facing, then to me that's a pretty good outcome.
Absolutely, it is, isn't it? Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely, thank you, Bethany. What's been the feedback from people sharing your story, and kind of has that encouraged you to do it even more?
absolutely. I mean, so like I say, for 6 years, and I think it was, I wanted to get to a point of passing my apprenticeship, getting through my apprenticeship, and having that title solicitor before then revealing that about myself. And that's not to say that people should be ashamed of where they come from or the obstacles that they've overcome. But I think I was always afraid that I was just going to tick a box. I know that we all have quotas and they're super important, but I'm a woman, I'm mixed race, and I grew up in care, so it's like tick, tick, tick. And I never ever wanted to get to a position where I got the title just because I ticked a box. So it was only really 18 months ago when I first shared that story, and ever since, people haven't been able to really shut me up about it, because it's just been overwhelmingly supportive, internally and externally. People within the firm, you know, saying that they're almost glad, and this is quite brave of them to admit, I suppose, that they didn't know this about me when they initially met me, because they would have had some form of unconscious bias. And this is, you know, a part of educating people from the older generation about, you know, these other things that people might have going on, and that doesn't necessarily place any restrictions on them. So yeah, part of why I'm here today is because people have been so supportive since speaking out about it.
Brilliant. I know you've got a lot of champions in the audience today. And I think there's a message in there, isn't there, around in our enthusiasm for getting our apprentices to be out there, perhaps representing the diversity of our apprenticeship programmes. There is an element of readiness and making sure that the apprentices themselves feel comfortable and confident and in a place where they're ready to share that aspect of their story as well, which I know we will pick up on later. So, Romario, tell us, what do you think are some of the biggest messages that we need to get across when we've got apprentices or former apprentices going out talking to aspiring apprentices, to aspiring employers maybe? What are some of the key things we need to include?
I'd definitely say, I think taking that step back to get your apprentices, former apprentices, to promote the company, the brand and things of that sense is a step before that, really, if I'm being honest with you. It's what is the experience that you're giving them? What are the environments? What are the parameters? What is the infrastructure when they first start their apprenticeship scheme? Because for most people, like myself, who didn't come into the world of work with 10 years of experience in the finance sector or tech sector, I came from college, so I didn't have that understanding. It's really, really important. And I think it's really missed in terms of giving that young person the infrastructure from the get-go for them to thrive. And once you give that experience to them, they're going to naturally sell the organisation. I think Kasim brought that up earlier. It's facilitating the experience for them and letting them go out there and promote the organisation, the passion. Someone like Beth, someone like, you know, everyone else in this panel is extremely passionate about apprenticeships and for the company, for the opportunity that they were given. Yeah. You know, we run an ambassador program within our network, and I can say for a fact, every single person in our ambassador program loves their company, loves their opportunity. They probably wouldn't be an ambassador if they didn't. And every event they attend, every school session they go to, they're screaming to the walls and back, I love the company that I work at, and here's my experience, here's where I came from. And having people who are, you know, 1, 2, 3 years removed from the future talent of the organisation are sat there thinking, wow, that person is me in 2 to 3 years. I can live that journey. Yeah. I can become that. And they're seeing it visually, but it has to come from in my opinion, a natural perspective for you to really get the value of building up that future talent of workforce beyond just what you have right now. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when our apprentices are having those good experiences and are positive, like you say, it will come through naturally. And then there are so many touch points. It might be sitting in a conference like this in front of a couple of hundred people, but it also might just be that conversation that you spark up with a friend, a family member, someone reaches out to you on LinkedIn, and because you're able to then talk positively or honestly about your experience, because Romario, you've talked about, you know, your redundancy situation as well. And just as we were coming up, the audience had shared authenticity as one of the key things that we think we're looking for when we're trying to share stories. And there's a massive story in there, isn't there? And a real positive story for yourself of how you've come through that.
Definitely. I mean, I think I could be biased, but I think us apprentices, we're the best at, in my opinion, seeing adversity, pushing through it, and being resilient. And my journey is the same as most likely every other apprentice would go through. My apprenticeship had the highs and the lows, the good, the bad, and the ugly, if I'm being totally honest with you. But it was the experience. I came from a background of going to a college that was a bit of a nightmare situation. It wasn't very enjoyable, so I had left 5 months into it to start my apprenticeship, and it completely changed my life. Yeah. So whether things might have gone, certain things in the experience where I got being redundant, even the experience with how I got treated by my managers at certain points, I was constantly so passionate and appreciative for the opportunity that I was given as an apprentice, that I've kept. I wouldn't be in the world of apprenticeships wanting to improve them and push them still to this day through the experience that I've had if it wasn't for that reason.
Yeah. Super, thank you. Ramadan challenge, tell us, right? We want to know. And we heard there were some conversations earlier about culture swap opportunities. So it fits really nicely. Irsa, what have you been doing?
Yeah, so part of my goal when we became Vialto Partners, which is still a huge global company, and one of the advantages of being a global company is the diversity. So we work with a lot of clients that are diverse. The people we work with are diverse. So what I wanted to do, and we're in our third year now, so we just completed Ramadan for the third year in the company. And the sort of premise behind it is that I have a group of Muslim volunteers who take on a non-Muslim buddy who is interested in Ramadan, who wants to learn, and we foster a very open and inclusive environment, so you can ask any questions without judgment. And we encourage them to fast for a day. What that does is it gives them an insight into the lives of their Muslim colleagues. This is the first year actually where we kind of went global with it. So I had people connected in Morocco to people in like Florida, and it was amazing because Ramadan is not just a one size fits all as well. The experiences are so different all around the world. And it was important for me that people, especially in the UK, that we understand each other, we understand our colleagues, and it's had great feedback. And yeah, third year, and really happy with how it's gone.
Sounds incredible, doesn't it? Really good. Yes, round of applause for that. So talk to us about when you're sharing your apprenticeship story. And you mentioned before that, you were an apprentice through the pandemic as well, and how you bring some of that into your story as well when you're sharing with others.
Yeah, so I was an apprentice through the pandemic. I was level 4, and then actually during the pandemic and just after, I decided to pursue the level 7 apprenticeship. So it didn't deter me at all. In fact, it's probably one of the best decisions I ever made. So through the pandemic, I struggled a lot with my mental health. And this is part of the reason why I think, like Romario said, why apprentices are the biggest advocates to have, is because it's so easy to make a polished story about an apprentice. And we're all great. Everyone on this panel, everyone in this room, we're all great, but not every story is polished. And you won't hear about the struggles and the personal support that someone's had that's not going to be in a brochure, that's not going to be in a social media video. It's going to be through apprentices and our experiences. So one thing that I learned through the pandemic and through the whole apprenticeship is that there are people like me that they don't find it easy to just survive working. But I wanted people to know that support is there. So if you wanted to do an apprenticeship and you were worried about your mental health or you're worried about your situation at home, that it's not something that can pull you back. It's actually something that can push you forward. But yeah, that's what I want to say.
Yeah, no, that's really, really useful. And was there anything that your colleagues or your employer or anyone supported you with around that, in kind of how you articulate that part of your journey, how you share that with others? Was there any support that you found particularly useful, or is it just something that you kind of discovered
Oh, absolutely. And she's sitting in this room over there. We've got the most amazing support system. And I think I was always encouraged to be, like we've mentioned a lot today, my authentic self. And a part of that is Ashley specifically saying to me about my name. And a lot of the time my name is pronounced incorrectly when it's quite a short, easy name. And for the longest time, I sort of just let it happen. And then when I was encouraged to embrace the diversity by the people that I work with and my friends and the other apprentices as well who encourage this, and I kind of reclaimed my name and reclaimed the history, that really pushed me forward into wanting to expand other people's minds about why our differences are what make us so amazing, especially in a global organisation where we can really leverage from diversity.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, Phil, let's come over to you. Phil, fresh off a plane from Tenerife, is it?
South Tenerife, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So thank you, first of all, for being here. Phil, tell us about your how Lloyds really support you and encourage other apprentices to get involved. You mentioned the Reach network and the Reach ambassador role and the different ways that you share your story.
Okay, so first off, when I came into Lloyds as an apprentice, I was not treated any differently to a normal colleague. So straight off from the bat, I was welcomed, and the environment that they were creating around me was one of support and encouragement. But due to my background, having taught in the past, I was also constantly looking around for ways to support other people to create more trusting and welcoming environments. So that's one of the reasons that I started to lean into the colleague network side of things to try and redress the balance. Maybe a colleague will go into an area that's a little bit further north, where the demographics are slightly different. So for someone like me, just to see a black welcoming face makes a big difference. And when I was younger, I used to shave my hair before going to interviews, before going into roles, because I was worried about how I was going to be judged. And I was half expecting that I might do that when I joined Lloyds. But I decided to chance it and see what the environment was like when I got in there. And to be honest, it's one of the companies where I've never cut my hair, and I'm encouraged to lean into my culture as well, which is one of the ways that I was able to bring through Windrush celebration event in Cardiff and Cheadle a couple of years ago, and also Black History Month events. There's so much opportunity to actually be the support rather than just leaning on support that's coming your direction.
So tell us more about that. What have you done in your workplace to kind of bring colleagues and other apprentices, or to get them involved in those programs?
So quite a lot of people at Lloyds will already know that I'm an apprentice ambassador. So that means that once a month I can be involved in some of our live Zoom sessions that we do that goes out to schools and young learners so that they can just throw whatever questions they've got so that we can dispel some of the myths that hang over apprenticeships even at this point. And then there's also the work that I do with the BOLD network, which is the Black Organisation for Leadership and Development. Because of the colleagues that I represent in this cohort, I'm able to give them information about apprenticeships that they wouldn't normally get. And somewhere in the audience, maybe hiding over there, there's Adela from LTSB, who's one of the great socio-economic charities that we're supporting with the idea of also bringing people into our branch network so that we can also move people into corporate side as well.
So much activity going on. So it feels like you're really encouraged. Time is made within the working day, perhaps, to undertake some of these ambassadorial roles as well. Does that make a big difference? Yeah, absolutely does. Given my background before, which is 10 years travelling the world teaching English and then working as a chef, I was used to working 12 to 14-hour shifts without taking breaks. So I was a bit frustrated when I joined, and people were telling me to calm down and just allow things to go along as they go along. But me not trying to pack my schedule full of things to do all the time creates these windows of opportunity for engaging in events like this, bringing people over from Lloyds. I think there's a couple in the audience. And we are encouraged to lean into what makes us special, and I think that empowerment creates a more authentic environment, and also it helps that we've got great role models like ourselves in our workplaces as well. Just the fact that we're there
sometimes is testament to the fact that the programs work.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we'll just do another round of quick questions and then we will open it up for Q&A to the audience. So, Bethany, not all apprentices are going to feel confident about kind of sharing their stories and might feel anxious. Any words of advice to employers who are thinking, that apprentice has got a great story, how can they help them, or the apprentices themselves, to build that confidence?
I think the biggest message is there's no pressure to do it either way. As an employer, it just will take time. It took 6 years for me to feel like I could trust my colleagues and the wider industry to not judge me for my story. And it probably is the case that had I have done it 6 years sooner, I wouldn't have been judged for it. It would have probably gone down just as well. But it took me that length of time. And you've also got, like I say, I wanted to make sure I wasn't just ticking a box or that I had the title behind me before I did it. So I think you've just got to allow an apprentice to come into their own, come into their confidence with it. But I think my biggest piece of advice would also to an apprentice who wanted to share the story was maybe share it with someone like your supervisor or your line manager or someone first. I started to create some really good connections who I can now call some of my best friends within the workplace. You know, when you grow up together, you obviously form these trauma bonds, they say, going through 17-hour working days and late night completions. And I started, disclosing it to those, and then their reaction sort of gave me a bit of an encouragement. So it wasn't overnight. I woke up and I decided I wanted to share my story. It was more of a gradual building of trust and feeling confident in myself and in the industry that I'm in and the role that I was taking on before being comfortable to do so. Yeah,
brilliant advice, thank you. Romario, anything particular that employers should bear in mind when they are encouraging apprentices to go out there and share their stories and talk about their apprenticeship programmes? Definitely,
I've got a couple of points to that. The first one is don't force the story, earn it. Apprentices will naturally share their experience and their experience with the brand if they're genuinely having a good experience within their program. That's the first thing I would definitely say. Empower, don't script. I've seen countless times where a lot of our ambassadors are forced to create certain have certain boundaries with what they can say and what they can share to their own journeys. Don't limit what they can share about their own journeys. Being authentic is the best way that you're going to be able to sell the organisation to that future next generation, and then understand the influence. Our ambassadors have spoken at hundreds of schools not because they're told to, but it's because they want to. And I think you see the output of successful, well-designed apprenticeships. We hosted a collaboration with the NHS a couple months ago, where we had a couple of the NHS apprentices on there, and it wasn't. Lucy must have put out an email saying who's interested to be a part of this panel, and not much pushing them more than that. And we had 3 absolutely incredible people who have gone through the journey of being an apprentice. One of them was 17, working in the clinical side of an apprenticeship, working very long hours, but they loved their experience and the passion really showed through that. We had over 100 viewers of the session, and so many of them got back to me saying, I want to work there now. And I see this company as so much more as this or so much more as that. It's an opportunity in where in which it's not even the role, it's the company that I want to be a part of, and I'll tailor my journey toward being a part of it. So, to keep it short, those are the main things I'd really call out.
Excellent, thank you. Irsa, takes time and effort to put your story together, doesn't it? How do we support our apprentices to prepare and to really think about what they should be including when they're going out, giving presentations, participating in panels like this? How can we help them?
Yeah, so I've done a couple of speeches, and I think the key is think about your audience. So often I've spoken to parents where the conversation is slightly different and they're a bit more grilling with their questions, and they want to know the really difficult stuff. Especially coming from an Asian background, I find it really heartwarming that Asian parents trust me to answer their questions truthfully, and they want to know what my experience is. So I think if an apprentice was to go and speak about their story, it definitely start with who your audience is. And just one thing I wanted to add to the previous question as well is, I think employers should really also think about the apprentices that have gone through the whole journey, that are still with the organisation and that are thriving in their careers and are managers and senior managers, because we have a few. And when you see their story, you think about the longevity of the career that you've gone into, because you're 18 years old and you're investing your life into something, and any good investor wants to know what their exit strategy is. So putting people in front of these prospective apprentices that have gone through their career and are thriving and are doing really amazing things, but started as apprentices, I think would be so amazing.
Yeah, really inspirational for them to see that. Thank you. And Phil, you've really outlined there's obviously lots of benefits to Lloyds of having kind of ambassadors within the organisation. What are some of the benefits for you personally in taking on that ambassadorial role? How has it helped you?
I'd say, first off, that's a really good question. It's something that I think about. It's something that I think about a lot, and I get asked it by people who know me inside the bank and people who know me outside. And one of the things, the first thing is public speaking. So I have had the opportunity to work on my soft skills. I wouldn't be sitting on a panel now talking to a room of, how many people did you say were here?
A couple of hundred, I think.
Yeah, okay, yeah, the idea of doing that is still alien to me. And after I got offered the apprenticeship, I started going to poetry jam nights so that I could start being uncomfortable in public. And since I've joined Lloyds, I've been able to lean into all the things that make me a little bit uncomfortable. So that's what I've got from it. The opportunity to work on my personal branding, growing a network, public speaking, engaging with stakeholders. And I also find that other people are looking at me and they're seeing little aspects of my potential that they think could be worked on as well. So
lots of personal benefits.
Yeah, exactly. Even the things that I'm not aware of, other people see them.
Yeah. Fantastic, thank you. Right, we're going to do one more quick question and then I promise I'm going to come to the audience. Okay, so how could we inspire more apprentices? So one sentence from each of our panellists here. How can we inspire more apprentices to get involved in this storytelling work? Bethany?
Get existing apprentices to get in front of them and talk.
Okay, thank you. Romario?
If you want your apprentices to sell your brand, give them something worth talking about.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Write it down.
Irsa?
Talk through your apprentices, not about them. In one sentence.
Thank you, love it. Yep, Phil?
Role modelling. You need to see people sharing their stories. You need to understand, as we've already spoken about, the ups and the downs of the experience, so that people can say, that sounds like me and I want to do more of that, or that sounds like something I could do, but maybe I can do better.
Yeah. So the next time there's events like this, bring more of your apprentices along so that they can see it and hopefully be inspired by it. Right, let's come out to the audience, because I can see Kasim's there with the dangerous mic box, as I've been told. Hi, we've got Jenny.
This session with a Slido of what makes a role model apprentice, and you've just exemplified all of those positive words. So my first comment is a thank you. The question is, you've been talking about your stories from the past, and this is going to sound like a rubbish interview question, but fast forward, or in Lloyds Banking Group's words, faster forward. It's 2030. You're sitting on the stage. What's happened in your story for the last 5 years?
Thank you for an incredibly difficult question to start with. So when I started working at Lloyds, I had everything quite mapped out in my mind in terms of what I could be doing. I start out as a data analyst level 4, and then eventually I go into data science, and I start working from there in the background so that I never have to do any kind of interaction with the public at all. And yet, over the last 2 years, I found myself leaning more into supporting people and doing things through service, so just trying to help in whatever way I can. So I'd love to be in a position where I could reflect on the number of people who I've brought into our organisation and supported so that they're still there, so that it's not just about making a little spark, but it's about setting a fire and keeping it going. Does that work?
That works, yeah, great.
Excellent answer. Thank you.
First things first, you guys have blown me away. All the panellists today have blown me away. And I don't want to embarrass you, Bethany, but you've You got me tearing up a bit. You are so powerful. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you're here after the 6 years to tell us about you. So thank you. Now, I don't want to be a bit of a Debbie Downer, but I also think it's right to talk about apprenticeships when they don't go well. Because if we don't talk about them, they fester, gets worse. I'm an apprentice, I love it, I brag about my organisation because they actually do me well. However, for the employers and the training providers in the room, what are signs or red flags of an apprenticeship that isn't going well?
Happy to answer that. As someone where my programme did end up, didn't end up completing it and things of that sense, but the whole company decided that the whole apprenticeship scheme was going to be, basically made redundant and nulled. It really and truly, it wasn't just that decision, we're going to let go of all of these 50 apprentices on board. It was from the start. Was there the right strategy in place? What are they going to be doing month 1? What are they going to be doing month 3? Have we got our managers upskilled and trained? What is our relationship like with the training provider? Is what they're said in terms of the start, are they actually delivering on that? Or do we need to have some conversations with them to actually make sure that their promise is being delivered? I'd say those are the main things in my opinion. Obviously the experience as someone who's lived that journey myself, those are only the outputs, and the apprentice sees the outputs first before anyone else. So speak to your apprentice, definitely. And there's obviously a lot of different support organisations in place. Not to plug myself, but, just as a cop.
Hey, it's a branding conference. I think you're allowed to. We are out of time, so please can I ask you to put your hands together and give another warm thank you to our panellists today. Thank you. You've been great as well. So thank you so much. And I'm sure everyone will be around in the break to pick up with you later. Thank you.